On the USTEC 100, we have been profitable in the last 24 hours. As you can see here, we have been selling the USTEC 100 since yesterday, falling according to our plans. So let's run through what has really been happening in this market since the beginning of the week, after which we look at what has happened yet in the last 24 hours, then make a decision as a result of the current structure we have here. So at the beginning of the week, we acknowledged the fact that price action was a little bit choppy, as we had price ranging between this $13,825 area and the $13,745. So we had the privilege of buying the US tech at the beginning of the week after price action broke out and retested the 13,825, and in fact we enjoyed this move all the way up as price action moved over 100 pips in our favor before this old bearish momentum began. And during our live session yesterday, we acknowledged the bullish momentum since the beginning of this week by connecting the series of higher lows, giving us this bullish trend line that you can see on your screen. And what we agreed here yesterday is that if price action continues to remain above that bullish trend line, we shall feel comfortable in our buy position. During our live session, we were around this area here where price action was consolidating just right around that trend line, which also shares a confluence with that 13,825 level. And what we said here is that if price action remains above this area, we want to buy. And to make things a little bit easy for us to be able to capture that buy opportunity, we identified a structure here at the 13,850 where we agreed that a breakout of that structure retest will be welcome in the buy position, which never happened actually. And the opposite was what happened. Remember, we said a breakdown retest of the trend line and the 13,825 will be welcoming our sell position in this market. And as you can see what happened, we saw price action break down, retest the level, and since then price action has been dropping to the downside. And remember, we also had the privilege of adding more position to our existing trade as we marked out key structures like the 13,780, 13,745 level as levels where we are going to be looking out for more opportunities. So if you are taking advantage of these opportunities, you will currently be running with a minimum of 3 positions running in profit. And with how many pips in total? So the first position here is running with about 180 pips. The second position here is running with about 140. That's about 320 pips move in total. And we have the third position running with about 100 pips. So we have roughly 400 pips currently in profit at this point. So well done to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. And if you still have your sell positions running at this point, you know how we do it. The next thing we are going to be doing right now is to move our stop losses accordingly to secure the current sell positions. And from the look of things right here, the most appropriate area that we want to be moving our stop loss to is anywhere just right above the 13,675. Let's lock in this profit around this area, giving room for price action to breathe, hoping that the trend continuation to the downside will still continue. So with that being said, now with our positions well secured at this point, what is going to be our plans as we get prepared for the New York session today? Well, the first thing we would like to acknowledge here is the fact that price action has been bearish at least since the beginning of this week, at least since yesterday, and to acknowledge that we want to connect the series of lower highs. And remember, yesterday we already have a trend line, so we shall extend the trend line a little further to capture the whole length of this bearish trend. And going forward, we shall be using this trend line as a yardstick to guide our trading activity going forward. So what this simply means is that as long as price action remains below this trend line, we shall feel comfortable in our sell position while we look out for more opportunities to maximize the potential of this bearish move. And during the early hours of today, I was able to monitor what is going on in this market, and I was able to identify 2 key structures, and that is the 13,675 level, which made me to add more position to my existing trade, And we also have the 13,640, which at this point in time shares a beautiful confluence with our bearish trend line. So we are going to be looking out for more selling opportunities in this market, like I said, if price remains below the trend line. So we have a structure here. Hold on a second. I want to so we have a structure here at the 13,640, where the breakdown of that level will definitely welcome more opportunities in this market. So we can have our stop loss rather just right above the 13,675, which will be dovetailing to about 35 pips stop loss at that point. And let's see how far this bearish momentum will go. So there is a likelihood that we could have some choppy situation. Don't let us get worried. The fact that as long as price action remains above the trend line or above the structures, we still feel comfortable in our sell position. So that is how we are going to be selling the USTEC 100 for today. So we shall be on standby to catch any of these opportunities as we continue to monitor price action. Now, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities in this market, you know how we do it. We also want to keep tabs with the potentials that buyers might likely take over this market at any point in time. And if we are going to be buying the USTEC 100 today, what do we want to see on this chart that will make us to change our bias from bearish to bullish? But before I go into the detail on that one, let's scale up into the daily time frame. Let's see what is really going on there from an holistic point of view and see if the potentials of buyers can be considered from this current structure. So in that regard, I will scale up a little bit. Let's go into the 4 hours time frame first of all and see. And if we cannot capture anything there, then we move on into the daily time frame. So right here on the 4 hours time frame, this is what you can see here on the 4 hours time frame. Look at this bullish trend line, which has captured the bullish momentum since the beginning of this month. And it appears that price action has just broken down that structure and in fact did a retest of that level in the last 4 hours in this market, giving us a sign that we might likely be seeing a bearish move to the downside. So let's zoom right into the current structure, and the center of focus for today is going to be between the 13,675 and the 13,640, which shares a confluence with both the bullish trend line and the bearish trend line we have here. So as long as price action remains below this bullish trend line, we will have no other choice than to continue to look out for more selling opportunities in this market. But if at any point in time price action climbs back above that bullish trend line, then the breakdown of this bullish trend line here will be considered to be a false breakdown, while we look out for buying opportunities above that trend line. So if we scale back down into the 1 hour time frame, what structure or level are we going to be using to guide the expectation that buyers could take over this market? So when we scale back down into the 1 hour time frame, this is what I was able to come up with, and this is what we are going to be using to guide any bullish expectation in this market. So if price action at any point in time breaks above the trend line, that is break out of that trend line, then this will be a sign that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to resist buying pressure anymore. And if you look at that trend line closely, you will see that it also shares a confluence with that 13,675. So a breakout of that structure will definitely get us prepared to be part of a bullish move. But remember, we are not getting too excited here. We want to wait for confirmations to happen, as a breakout of that level could still turn out to be a false one. So we want to see price action retest the 13,675 or even retest the trend line. Most importantly, look out for buying pressure to join a bullish momentum to the upside. So this is the only way we are going to be thinking of buying the USTEC 100 for today. A breakout retest of the 13,675 is going to be what we are going to be looking out for to buy the USTEC. But if this does not happen and price action continues to trade below the trend line, we feel comfortable in our sell positions while we look out for more opportunities to add to our existing positions. So that is that on the USTEC 100. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know right in the comment section.